This week is the Indy 500, and I thought there's no better time to make predictions for the big day than now. Remember, these are my predictions, so if you don't agree with me, that's perfectly fine, and instead of slandering me for my picks, you should let me know yours in the comments. I don't mean anything bad by saying a driver will underperform, it's simply just part of the sport, so enjoy. I've made a total of 14 predictions for the event, 6 for qualifying, and 8 for the race. But because by the time this video is posted, qualifying will have already happened, I'm recording this first part of the video before qualifying, and the race section after. I have no real way to prove that, but you'll probably believe it when I get it horribly wrong. Anyways, let's start. First up is the pole winner, and for a few reasons, I find it extremely hard here to go against Alex Palou. Other than the fact that Palou has just become the Thanos of IndyCar, he has momentum coming into this year by being the reigning winner from last year, and you can see that in practice. Practice times do always have to be taken with a grain of salt because the drivers aren't always just going as fast as possible, but they're also getting their setups dialed in, and actually getting comfortable to the track, but it still is an alright metric. Through the first 2 practice sessions, Palou finished first and second, even through some reliability scares, and he got some solid mileage in practice 3, and placed near the top again on Fast Friday. At the end of the day, it's an extremely hard thing to predict, but Palou always makes it hard to bet against him. Next is the category of best rookie placement, and there are a lot less options here. On the table we have Mick Schumacher, Caio Collet, Dennis Hauger, and because he got bumped last year, Jacob Abel is an Indy 500 rookie as well. As much as I think all of these guys have possibilities of placing high, one sticks out to me, and that's Caio Collet. Out of the 4, 3 of them came from a European racing background with less oval experience, but Collet has simply looked the most comfortable at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He led the field on day 2 of the open test, but more importantly ran 227 laps the day, and that experience is going to pay dividends. Also, Foyt just tends to do very well at the 500 with their technical partnership with Penske, and I think the 500 will not be his opportunity to shine just for this event, but also break out in IndyCar as he hasn't really had his crazy performance quite yet. My next category is best one-off, meaning the best qualifying position for a driver who isn't competing full-time on the IndyCar grid this year. In a race where there are past winners competing like Helio Castroneves, Takuma Sato, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, and experienced drivers like Ed Carpenter, and even Catherine Legge who's attempting the Indy 500 and Coca-Cola 600 double, my guess lies with none of them. It falls to Connor Daly. Contrary to the past, Connor Daly is not a full-time driver this year, but he has looked extremely strong at Indy when he was. Top 10 finishes in his last 4 Indy 500s, and being near the top of both of the first 2 practice sessions, it looks pretty bright. Another reason I see this as a big chance for Daly is that there's a good amount on the line in terms of his performance, as a good drive here could help him land a full-time ride next year. So in my mind, more pressure will translate to a better result for the Indiana native. For my next section and the next 2 predictions, it's definitely a bit more subjective. Here I'm going to declare a highly touted name that I think will underperform, and vice versa with a less expected name that'll exceed expectation. So it's kind of up to you to decide who's highly touted and who's underrated. For the more underrated team to do well, I have to say the entire team over at Meyer-Shank has odds for them. Although I don't see them being crazily underrated, Meyer-Shank still only has 1 win in IndyCar at the 2021 Indy 500, but they have looked really impressive so far. Both full-time drivers in Marcus Armstrong and Felix Rosenqvist just finished 3rd and 4th place in the 3rd practice, and Rosenqvist topped the Fast Friday timesheets. Also, you just can't rule out Helio Castroneves because he's just that guy, and his level of experience can only really bring good. Now for the other way around, a big name to underperform is honestly something I don't like making a prediction for, but it's honestly more going to come down to who just has some sort of mechanical issue or a crash that'll make a driver struggle come qualifying time, and that's really hard to foresee. For that reason, I'm just going to go purely off statistics and see that throughout practice, Scott McLaughlin has a generally low mileage compared to others. Once again, this is just completely a guess, I have no idea. Finally, the last prediction I'll be making for qualifying is just one random long shot type of guess. For this, I'm going to say that Rinus VeeKay will be the highest qualifying Juncos Hollinger car in Indy 500 history. The benchmark here is Connor Daly last year qualifying 13th, and with the partnership between JHR and Dreyer and Rainbolt Racing, I think it really helps VeeKay's odds. I'm a big fan of VK's, and he's always been extremely good in his time at ECR on the Speedway, but had a down year starting on the back row last year. But this year, I see it turning back around and VK near the front again. Anyways, that's the end of the qualifying predictions, so I'll see you after it's over to get the race predictions. Alright, I'm here after qualifying, and I did shockingly well. Alex Palou did end up getting pole, so that's 1 point for me there. Kyle Calais was definitely the best rookie by far, and same with Connor Daly for the one-offs, so that's 2 more points there. And Renus VK did make it into the Fast 12, so another right. The only ones I had that were a bit iffy were Meyer Shank doing well as a whole, which they did get Felix Rosenquist to 4th, but neither of the other 2 drivers made it into the Fast 12, so I'll call it half a point. And for Scott McLaughlin, he definitely didn't underperform, so I'll gladly take my L there. I'm honestly really surprised that I got that much right, but looking back at it, they were some pretty safe guesses, so let's see if I can carry that into the race. Most of the topics here are similar to the ones I did for qualifying with a few differences, and for the first one, it's the top 3 in the race. For my winner of the 2026 Indy 500, I'm going with David Malukas. Malukas looked very good on quali day, like really good, and more importantly, he was really consistent. I think he is definitely in the conversation for best driver going into this race, and how electric would it be if he gets his first ever win in the series at the Indy 500 in his first year at Penske. For second, I have the pole sitter, Alex Palou. This guy is simply just too good, to the point that if he doesn't get caught in a crash, he will be near the front no matter what. And just like I did in qualifying, I have to go with the high percentage play here. For third, I'm going to go a bit more rogue and slot in Connor Daly. Connor Daly qualified 8th, but he was very close to the top 6th, and he was very consistent as well. This one's a real shot in the dark, so hopefully I somehow nail it. For both best rookie and best one-off, it follows the same philosophy as qualifying, and I'm sticking with both Calais and Daly, because 1, they were both correct, and 2, it just wasn't really close. Kyle Calais was so clear of all the other rookies, and Daly was just so much more consistent than the other one-offs. And because I have Daly on the podium in my other prediction, I have to double down here. And both of them follow the same explanation too that I said in qualifying, so I'm not going to repeat it here, but just know it follows the same philosophy. Now into the most underrated driver to overperform, I'm once again following Meyer Shank, but this time more specifically on Marcus Armstrong. Armstrong had those issues coming out of the pits for his quali laps, and honestly, it seems like he at least lost out a little bit because of it. Felix Rosenquist showed us how fast the Meyer Shank cars can be, and I genuinely do think Marcus Armstrong can capitalize off of that, and achieve his highest Indy 500 result to date, finishing above his 18th that he got last year. For the biggest name to underperform, I actually changed my mind here, and I'm thinning the predictions to 7, just because I really don't like making a guess here. It's all going to be dependent on who crashes, and I'm not trying to be the guy to be preying on another driver to crash, so I'm just going to skip it. That takes us into the biggest long shot, and because I went pretty safe with the long shot for qualifying, I'm going to go balls to the wall here. I'm going to say Christian Rasmussen ends up in the top 6. Christian Rasmussen is the definition of an all risks taken driver, and if things swing in his favor, I expect him to be able to climb from his qualifying position of 16th, up to somewhere near the front. We saw it in Phoenix where he went from 18th to the lead before it ended up crumbling in the end, and he did the same in 2025 at Milwaukee where he converted a 10th into a win. For that reason, I see him climbing, and if he possibly does get a good bit of luck, I wouldn't be shocked to see him in the top 6. Now for the final 2 predictions that are different from the ones I made in qualifying, and that's the biggest climber and the most laps led. Contrary to me saying Malukas would win, I don't think he leads the most laps, and I think that falls with Alex Palou, because he just does control races from pole. Regardless of when he wins or doesn't, he just sets the pace, and if he goes into turn 1 with the lead, I think he'll command for a good bit. And when pit stops and cautions occur, and the strategies diverge, I think he'll still end up with the most laps led. Finally, for the biggest climber, I feel like it would be dumb here not to lock in Joseph Newgarden. It's simple as me seeing a 2-time Indy 500 winner starting 24th in a Penske car, to the point that if Joseph Newgarden doesn't get caught up in a wreck near the back, he has so much to make up for, because starting 24th, he has so many more slots than Christian Rasmussen does in 16th. Well, that's that. We'll see how it turns out, but make sure to let me know who you have winning the big race in the comments below.